Warning, the video you are about to see was shot by a trained professional, so for your safety and the protection of those around you, please do not film while driving. Yo, what up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. We're gonna have some fun now. We're doing things a little bit different. Your boy gotta make some moves. So, we're gonna just talk about a couple different issues in the world of boxing. Have some fun with it on this drive. Make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. Now, first order of business is Canelo versus Kovlaev. I want to talk about that fight, 175. You know, I don't know much about it. It hasn't been finalized, so I don't know for a fact if it's going to be at the full 175, if there's going to be any rehydration clause. But I made an unpacked video. Make sure you guys check it out. I have some concerns about it. For starters, I'm curious as to why Golden Boy, Team Canelo, and DAZN have elected to compete with a major UFC main event, UFC 244, excuse me. Sorry, I can't even see right now. 244. I think that's a mistake. DAZN should be looking to get subscribers and try to build their platform, get long-term subscriptions. And anytime you have two major combat fights, especially if one's anticipated, I feel like at the end of the day, people are forced to pick. They're gonna have to pick between fight A or fight B. I think Canelo's popularity is waning a bit. You know, just some recent Canelo news, the franchise champion with the WBC, you know, these various things has people feeling a certain type of way and kind of off of it. Now, Kovlaev, he's a good fighter, good resume, but I feel the timing, quick turnaround, just faced Anthony Yard in a tough fight despite winning. He got a nice knockout at the end. But he was pushed in that fight. He was tested in that fight. In that fight, he had to, you know, compose himself. You have to keep in mind, Buddy McGirt, his trainer, was moments away from stopping it. He says, if you give me another round, like round 7, it's over. You know, I got to pull the plug on this baby. And luckily, Kovlaev was able to summons whatever from within and get it done, you know. So he came on the winning side of things. But it's just kind of a weird fight. And I feel like, especially if they tack on a bunch of rehydration clauses in these various things, then it makes the fight even less desired. I'm obviously more of a boxing guy than UFC, but there's no denying UFC 244 is a great main event. You know, definitely a great main event. And I think Canelo's star power is kind of fading, especially since he's been on DAZN. DAZN has not quite figured out, you know, I gotta turn, I hope this is not too loud. I gotta turn on the AC, it's hot as fuck. To me, DAZN hasn't quite figured out promotional methods. Like they almost came in the game as a gimmick, you know? Came in the game as a gimmick in terms of saying pay-per-view's dead, and kind of like taunting the competition. But real boxing fans don't really care about that stuff. They just want to see good, competitive, compelling fights. We don't care about the cold wars and, you know, promoters not getting along and these dick measuring pissing contests is, excuse my language. People just want to see what they want and what they're willing to pay for, which is good, competitive fights. So, in my estimation, my view, I feel DAZN kind of came in the game the wrong way, focused on the wrong things, like the notion that pay-per-view is dead. Just kill pay-per-view and save everybody some money. But so far they haven't done it. UFC still does pay-per-view. PBC has done a bunch of pay-per-views. Spence Porter's coming up as a pay-per-view. Top Rank did a pay-per-view with Amir Khan versus Terrence Crawford, which, you know, at that point in which they fought wasn't really the biggest welterweight fight, still pushed the pay-per-view envelope, you know. So DAZN should really be looking to capture long-term subscriptions and get a fan base going and that type of stuff. And when you have two main events that are on separate networks and things like that, you split the fans. Because I know some of the fans, I know for a fact, some of the fans that like Nate Diaz like boxing, you know, and like UFC, vice versa. You know? Whereas if Canelo was fighting on the quote-unquote Mexican dates like he preferred, usually you didn't see many events go up against that, you know? So that's kind of my take on that whole situation with Canelo. As far as the fight, there's some danger there. It's not a bad fight. It's not a bad fight in the sense of, like I said, there's some danger for Canelo, but there's also a lot of danger for Kovlaev. A lot of people have Canelo's weight, and they got it all scrambled. Canelo may not have the height, but he definitely has size. You know, he has size to and skill to kind of support a move up in weight. And they keep advertising as a 2 weight class jump. The reality is he's already fought at 168 basically. He fought against Rocky Fielding at the full 168. That was a 6'3" guy. He fought Julio Cesar Chavez, who was about 6'2.5" at 164.5. So it's not as foreign as some people are making it out to be, like he just moved straight up and he's going 2 weight classes. But that's what they're trying to build it as. And it's just kind of a little bit weird to me. But there's some danger. Kovlaev could fight. He has a very good jab, heavy hands. Canelo, you know, he could get up there and realize the punches affect him more, you know. But I think Canelo is the favorite right now, and I think he'll probably stay that way because of where Kovlaev's at in his career. See, some fights, they kind of, they want you to focus more on paper versus what you've seen with your eyes. Cotto versus Sergio Martinez, another example of that to me. Yes, it's Sergio Martinez. On paper, Sergio Martinez is a storied, accomplished fighter. But if we're looking and being realistic at who Sergio Martinez Maravilla was at that particular point of his career, I would honestly say that he had seen better days. You know, he looked stupendous versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He did for 11 rounds. But that 12th round really was like the curse for him. That 12th round, he tore some ligaments in his knee, and his knee never really recovered. You know, when you take certain injuries, especially late in your career, started boxing late, so maybe that was able to preserve him. But Sergio Martinez's style was reliant on certain things, being a southpaw, athleticism, you know, reflex, speed, ability, and mobility, you know. So when that went away, his fights were tougher. Martin Murray, I thought he lost the fight. You know, Martin Murray got robbed of an additional knockdown, things like this. These are things to all consider. And he had a long layoff. So when Cotto finally fought him, yeah, it's still Sergio Martinez, but we know it's probably not the Sergio Martinez of old. And I think that's the same exact type of analogy with Kovlaev. Kovlaev, I don't think anyone's really viewing him as Kovlaev the Crusher that they did pre-Andre Ward. Andre Ward actually exposed a lot. Before that point, you might have seen little small glimpses of downsides and issues for Kovlaev. But it wasn't until Ward fought him that they were on full display. Hold on, you know, I gotta merge on this freeway. It was on full display once Andre Ward fought him, because you were able to see what he was good at, what he was deficient at, the body work, the inside game. Andre Ward showed you that. Now you have Canelo, who wants to jump in and, you know, piggyback off of that and use it as use that as a catalyst, you know, a weight class jump to justify it. But I just think there's so much talent at 160, 168, and 175 outside of Kovlaev, where you know this is why they're picking Kovlaev, because they look at him as a name, but also not the same. It rhymes. They look at him as a name, but they also look at him as not the same. That's why they're more willing to approach that than guys like Caleb Smith, Jamal Charlo, Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, David Benavidez. These are all better Biev if we're talking 175 champions. Vodstick, Dimitri Bivol. These guys seem a lot fresher than Kovlaev. We've never seen these. Majority of the people I've mentioned are undefeated, and nor have we seen them like stopped and all this shit like we have with Kovlaev. So I think has a lot to do with it. Make sure y'all smash the like button. That's really my thoughts on Canelo Kovlaev. It's just I'm not as excited as some people might be, because I look pretty deep into this boxing game, and I think the quick turnaround, Canelo does better with like European style fighters, Eastern European style fighters, guys who aren't athletic, guys who don't have ridiculous rhythm and speed, kind of basic 1-2 guys, and that's what Kovlaev is. He's very good at the 1-2. His jab is heavy-handed, powerful, but he's not out there he's not really doing anything that's what you would call phenomenal, Roy Jones-esque. Nothing like fancy footwork, just very basic stuff. And I think that's what they're banking on. Some of these other guys have more tricks up their sleeve, you know? So it is what it is. Next order of business, Shawn Porter versus Errol Spence. Now, I'm looking forward to this. This is an amazing fight, unification. You got WBC champion Shawn Porter versus IBF champion Errol Spence. This helps to solidify the who's who of the division. And unification, hashtag unifications matter. Hashtag unifications matter. Unifications, we've seen some pretty good fights. Maurice Hooker versus Jose Ramirez. Keith Thurman, Pacquiao wasn't technically a unification, but I kind of put it in the same category because they both have versions of the WBA belt. So, you know, it's similar enough to a unification. And I'm with it. You rarely see me against a unification. I think it's just a damn good fight. They did a good job with the undercard too, building some excitement, building some interest there. I like David Benavidez. I like Anthony Durrell. It's a good fight. And Jean Molina, Jose Cito Lopez should be a good action fight. Fox is doing a great job of promoting boxing the old school way. You know, just some shoulder programming, some behind the scenes stuff, familiarizing the audience with certain guys, and I dig it, you know. I hope they continue on this trend. I really do. Yeah, so I like Spence versus Shawn Porter. I think it's an excellent fight, unification. Interesting styles. You have Errol Spence. He's more technical. He showed you that in the Mikey Garcia fight, more technical than people give him credit for, but he's a dog. He comes forward, a lot of punches, combination punches, beautiful 1-2. I liked Errol Spence in his last fight with Mikey. His jab, man, pop, pop, pop. I think that jab is going to give Shawn Porter a lot of problems if Shawn Porter gets, like, reckless. Errol Spence's body work, you know, he's this generation's Mike McCallum. Interesting thing about Shawn Porter is he don't give up, or so far in his fights, we've never seen that, you know. He was up against some adversity in the Adrian Granados fight, dealing with the injuries and not used to that. And I talked to him and his dad after, and they said, You know, he had to coach his son through it because he wasn't used to that happening. So Sean got a lot of heart. He's athletic. You've seen Errol Spence and Sean Porter kind of arguing on the face-off. Make sure you guys check out the face-off. I think they're doing a good job with Fox just promoting the fight as they should. You know, it's a pay-per-view. They want us to pay for it. Then, you know, give us some programming to entice us to do that. But in the face-off, there was a dispute between Errol Spence and Sean Porter as to if Sean Porter has skills versus talent. And Errol Spence says you could be born with talent, but skills are like acquired and honed in the gym. You know, I like how he put that. And, you know, we're going to see who has the talent and the skills and gets this fight done. This is one step in the right direction. There's people like Pacquiao, big name. I don't think Pacquiao wants to fight either. Definitely don't think he wants to fight Errol Spence. But Bob Arum, I did a video about it. He's talking about Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford early next year. So I think, you know, it'll be good. Wilder, Fury working together, that could be the sign of something fresh with Top Rank and Al Heyman working together when they don't have to. And the reason I say when they don't have to is because I'm not talking about a mandatory. Mandatory is, as it sounds, mandatory. It's mandated that a champion fights is mandatory or whatever. So I like the fights where two opposing parties work together when they don't really have to. No one's making them do it, you know, like Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. They didn't have to put it on, but they're going to. So we'll see if we can get Crawford versus Spence, but Spence got to focus on Sean Porter. Should be a good fight on Fox pay-per-view. The last thing I want to talk about is Anthony Joshua. His trainer was under fire, is under fire, because he says he knew his fighter had a concussion after the third round. And he allowed Joshua to go in there and get slaughtered and dropped an additional 2 times in rounds after. And Talk Sport, they had interviewed somebody who's like a neurologist or whatever, and he said, like, that's how injuries are sustained, off of bravery and, you know, letting a guy stay in there when he really shouldn't be in there anymore. And I don't think that's a good look. I think we've seen the unraveling of Team Joshua, from Eddie Hearn to Rematch Room to Joshua himself to Rob McCracken. I gotta pick Andy Ruiz. I don't know how Joshua's gonna deal with all this pressure and kind of negative vibes surrounding on if he is as advertised. There's a lot. People like Lennox Lewis, myself, said he should switch trainers. He said no. He said Lennox Lewis is a clown. He doesn't seem to be taking criticism well. He's going back on his word. He said that Andy Ruiz received some kind of lucky punch sent from the heavens above and the gods. And then he later retracted that and said it wasn't a lucky punch, you know. But he keeps going on about how he got hit with the temple shot and couldn't recover, and he knows what he did wrong. So we're going to find out, you know. We're going to find out what he learned. He's not really giving himself too much time to recover from this. So all this is going to be, you know, very intense. Then you got to look at it from Ruiz's spot. Some people think he's complacent. Some people think he's eating too much, buying too much, and kind of content off of what he's already achieved and the bit of fame that he got beating Joshua. So Joshua is a wounded animal right now. So Ruiz definitely shouldn't be looking past him, overlooking him, or because he won the first fight so easily, feel that he can just go in there and chump Joshua, because I don't think that's the case either. Joshua still is 6'6", 260 plus pounds, and hits hard, and now he has a reason to be motivated. His whole career is kind of like on the line, kind of like when Sergey Kovlaev fought Ward or Alida Alvarez in the second fight. You know, there's a lot riding on that. You know, and we're going to find out what Joshua is made of. Ruiz definitely can't sleep on him, because this is a crossroads fight for Joshua. And he's going to want to prove a lot of people wrong. And we'll see how that plays out. But for me, Joshua's team has been far too inconsistent for me to bet their way and think that Joshua's going to, in 4 or 5 months with the same team and, you know, some of the crazy things that are being said, for me to pick him. There was really no indication in the first fight that the second fight would be any different or any better. I didn't really see anything. I thought Joshua lost every single round. His best round was his worst round. And that sounds crazy, but it's true. The third round was his best round, but then when he had Andy Ruiz hurt, he ended up getting hurt himself, and everything switched just like that. So it was a classic round, but he let it all get away from him just like that. And he ended up getting dropped twice. So there's no way anybody, it don't matter who you are, if you know boxing and you score boxing the appropriate way, there's nobody that can give Joshua the third round because he got dropped an additional time. You know, other than that, it was one knockdown for one knockdown. But the fact that Ruiz got the second knockdown, it wasn't the same. So, you know, it's just a weird statement from Rob McCracken to admit that your fighter, you knew your fighter was hurt and injured and you still sent him to the slaughterhouse. It really makes me wonder, do they look at Joshua like a product, you know? Slave room. Do they look at him like a product? They're putting him in an immediate rematch. This is like do or die. And they announced the immediate rematch literally 3-4 days after the first fight. Like, damn, he don't get no holiday, no break, no relax with the family. It's just like back to business. And then you seen Joshua, he's like training and shit like immediately after. So he's up against a lot of pressure. And Joshua seemed like he struggled with pressure previously and confidence previously, despite what he says. The sports psychologist, oh yeah, what if Ruiz hits me with a punch? Or he says after, he told Carl Frampton, after the Klitschko fight, I told my trainer, if I go through another fight like that, I'm done. I mean, these are not good statements that you would want out there about you, you know, because now when it comes fire with fire, if things aren't going Joshua's way, does he have more burning desire than Andy Ruiz? And to me, the answer is no. You know, like, yes, there's a chance that Joshua can have things go his way and win that way, you know, if it's just a good night and he corrects his mistakes or whatever. So that's why it's intriguing. But if it comes down to a firefight and a battle of attrition, like who wants it more and who's going to really dig down deep and take it to that extra place, go that extra mile, scrape beneath the surface of the paint and then really get underneath that, the grit, the grind, that Rocky Balboa shit, Ruiz already showed you he's the man for the job. Joshua hasn't showed me that. So, you know, I'm really pretty easily and comfortably picking Ruiz. So I wanted to do something different. Boxingego ride-alongs or ride-share, you know, depending on when I have more people. Let me know what you guys think of this style of video. I'm on the way to different things here and there, so I figure, you know, why not have this freestyle talk? You know, it's easier than the live stream because I'm not trying to fucking wreck and shit, trying to answer questions and stuff. So I like it. Let me know if you guys like it, if you love it. Also, give me, if you do like it, give me some topics that y'all want me to cover. And I'm probably going to do that where I just talk about multiple topics and not one concentrated thing. But a lot of stuff going on. We're going to enter the third and fourth quarter of boxing. Let me know what you guys think. Boxingego, the future of boxing. Let me know what you guys think of all the topics discussed. Canelo, Kovlaev fight. Do you love it? Do you hate it? What do you think about it? Competing with Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, and Joshua fighting with a concussion. All that good stuff. Spence Porter. Drop all that in the comment section. If you're new, consider subscribing. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.